Hi, everyone, and welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help you develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there today, evening, real early in the morning, real late at night, wherever you are around the globe? I hope that you all are doing absolutely splendid, and I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes, y'all. That's what's up. Well, before I get started with, you know what, finishing up this book, Fish in a Tree, by Lynda Mullaly Hunt. Awesome book. I just wanted to share with you guys really quickly. First of all, I am at the Riyadah. All right, if you guys can see that sign behind me. And basically what that is a venue where Muslims from all over the country, they get together and, they have fun with each other. They are connecting, they are networking, and also there are different competitions. You have basketball playing, you have vending, all types of just great stuff going on at the Riyadah. And this is an annual event. As a matter of fact, I believe this is the 38th annual Riyadah, and this was started by Imam Jamil Al-Amin. All right, and he is definitely someone who is an activist, someone who is for the community, and unfortunately, right now, he is incarcerated unjustly, but we are still continuing with the legacy that he started. All right, and I just wanted to share with you guys really quickly the importance of how you have to add a little bit of flavor to reading aloud, all right? And you have to sometimes get out of your usual space of reading aloud. So, for example, if you're used to reading aloud a lot before bed, or you're used to reading aloud to your kids in the bedroom, or if you are in the living room or whatever in your house, get outside. Enjoy the weather. Take them outside. Do a read aloud out there. Have like a little campsite. You guys can get in a tent, get some flashlights, and then just have a ball. Because one thing's for sure with reading, we want to make reading fun for our children. And they also need to see us reading as well, because a lot of times with kids, when they think about reading, they think about test taking. All right? They think about this is something that I am forced to do. This is a chore. This is something where, oh my God, I gotta read again. Why do I gotta keep reading? This is getting on my nerves, right? And especially in the African American community, there is unfortunately a lot of youth who do not like to read. I've heard kids say they hate reading, and that is something right there that we cannot have, especially understanding the history behind in terms of Black people not being allowed to read. That when our ancestors were put into slavery, that was one of the things that they could not do. Our ancestors, our African ancestors, were told that they cannot read. All right, and if a Black person was caught reading, or if they were caught trying to learn how to read, they were tortured, limbs were cut off, they were killed, they were just totally, they were whipped. All types of things occurred when they were trying to learn how to read. And so this is why in our organization, ABC Read, we are pumping up reading. And this is why we give away books in the community. And this is why we are trying to develop and nurture that love of reading, develop and nurture a literacy culture in our communities. All right, so with all of that being said, for those of you who know exactly what it is that we do with our organization, you guys have seen our videos, and I talk a great deal about trying to develop that culture of literacy. All right, we got to pump up reading like they pump up Jordans, right? Like they pump up Gucci belts, right? And Gucci sandals and all of these rap songs and all of this stuff that's going on that is negative. We got to flip that and say, you know what, we are going to pump up reading. Reading is something that should be high on our children's value ladder, period. All right. So with all that being said, I gave the soliloquy. Now it's time to delve into the book, Fish in a Tree. I am on chapter 42. And the title of this chapter is The Gifts of No Excuses, Scotch Tape and Antibiotics. Mr. Daniels calls me up to his desk. Here, I have something for you. I'm excited. Until I see it's a book. Not like I hate them like I used to, but they still scare me. I stare at it, hoping he just wants to book talk it, not actually read it. I'd like you to read this. I open my mouth to speak, my mind already rolling out multiple excuses. He puts his hand up. Listen, Allie, I know it won't be easy. I know it will take time. But the thing is, my excuses become harder to say. I think you can read this one, and I want you to try. I reach out and take the book, which has a picture of a kid holding a goldfish bowl. I flip through the pages. The book isn't long, as far as chapter books go. That's a relief. I look up at him and hold his gaze. Normally, I'd be giving him all kinds of reasons I can't do this. But the thing is, Mr. Daniels could hand me a book as heavy as a boulder, and I'd try to read it. Just because he asked me to. Okay, we are going to begin a unit on persuasive writing, Mr. Daniels says. So I'd like you to tell me, if you could have an unlimited amount of any single object, what would it be? It can't be magical, have special powers or anything like that. Just an ordinary, everyday type of object. Well, obviously, Shay speaks slowly like she's talking to a little kid. Wouldn't everyone just choose money? Albert looks confused. Not something I see too often. The first thing I thought of was antibiotics. Really? Mr. Daniels steps forward, putting his hands in his pockets. There are many who can't afford medications, so I would like to give them out to people who need them, all over the world. Then he seems to be thinking out loud. I wonder if antibiotics would help or hurt alien life forms. Well, Shay sputters, if you had an unlimited amount of money, you could buy the medicine, right? I catch her rolling her eyes at Jessica. He shrugs. I'd rather just have the medicine. Scotch tape! Oliver yells. I want scotch tape! Most of us laugh along with him. And why is that, Oliver? Mr. Daniels asks. Because it's awesome. That's why. People don't think how tough life would be without scotch tape. Mr. Daniels nods. You may have a point there, Oliver. Or Elmer's glue. I love Elmer's glue. If I had barrels of it stored up in the garage, I could cover my hands with it every day and then peel it off. I love doing that, and it grosses out my mom. I tell her it's skin. Shay makes a noise. What? Oliver asks her. That's ridiculous, she says. What's ridiculous? He asks. The opinions of others are to be respected, Mr. Daniels says. But Shay and Oliver talk right over him. Wanting tape and glue, Shay says. No, it isn't, because I would always use them with paper to make notes for my little sister. They make her feel better. Make her feel better? Mr. Daniels seems concerned. Is she ill? Oh, no, not anymore. But she had something that was called, well, it was long. It had 5 syllables, and she had to go to the hospital a lot to sleep over. And when she'd go, I'd visit her and bring cards. And they made her happy. My mom says I was the one who helped her get better. I see. Well, Oliver, you get huge creativity points today. Mr. Daniels musses his hair. You're one of a kind. You know that, Oliver? Suki raises her hand. Grandfather says everyone is unique, special, unlike all others. That makes us each great. I like that, Suki, Mr. Daniels says. And you are indeed great. She remains seated but bows a bit. Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniels bows back and then stands up straight. In fact, you're all great. My fantastic fantasticos. Albert raises his hand and Mr. Daniels nods toward him. Excuse me, but just because something is unique, that doesn't mean it's good. After all, E. coli, a dangerous bacteria, is unlike all others. Point taken, Albert. But I do like that people are all different. What if we all looked the same, thought the same, had the same beliefs? That sounds boring, Keisha says. Indeed it does, he says. I think that I wouldn't mind being more like everyone else. But then I think I wouldn't want to draw like everyone else. And I wouldn't want to act like Shay or Jessica. All of a sudden there is screaming. It is Oliver. Ant murderer! Ant murderer! What is it, Oliver? Mr. Daniels asks. He points at Shay. Ant murderer! All I did was step on a dumb ant. What is he so freaked out about? You had no right to kill him. He was just walking by. You think it was him? It's just a dumb ant. Who cares? I care, Oliver says, getting down on all fours with a tissue to check on the ant, which is clearly dead. He cleans it up with a tissue and slips it into his pocket. You're gonna keep it? She sputters. Well, I'm not gonna just throw him in the garbage. I'll bury him at home. She begins to laugh. Shay, Mr. Daniels says, there will be none of that. She stops. We are all different. You care about some things, Oliver, and Oliver cares about others. We have to work to accept each other, even though we may not agree. Yeah, Oliver yells. And Oliver, Mr. Daniels says, I think you have to cut Shay a break here. It's pretty common for people to step on ants. So, Oliver, he asks and waits. Oliver turns to Shay and mumbles, sorry, and climbs back into his seat. Thank you, Oliver. Mr. Daniels wanders over to Oliver's desk. I'm glad you apologized. Now that you have. He leans over and rests his hands on his knees. I'd like to add that you have one of the kindest hearts I know. You care so much about everything, always looking out for others. And that, my fine young fellow, is going to make for a great man someday. All right, you guys. Woo! I told you guys, this book is powerful. I absolutely love this book. A Fish in a Tree by Lynda Mullaly Hunt. For those of you, this is your first time watching our videos. This book right here is about Allie Nickerson. She has a reading disability. She is in 6th grade. Finally, though, she is getting help. We're at the point of the book as we're like nearing the end. Next, we're going to be reading chapter 43, and there are 50 chapters, all right? And Allie has been struggling the whole way through in this book, all right? Until finally, she is able to get some help from Mr. Daniels, who was an awesome teacher. And guess what? She was voted class president, all right? And you guys can check that chapter out. I think that was probably chapter 40 or 41, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys go back and check it out. And I want you all to make sure that you read and listen to the book in order so that you can find out exactly what is going on in this awesome, awesome story. Fish in a Tree, Lynda Mullaly Hunt. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our videos. ABC Read, ABC Learn. And remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Peace.